September 15th, 2020. We are a meeting of the Nahant Zoning Board of Appeals. It is 5:05 p.m. pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, imposing a strict limitation on the number of people who may gather in one place. We are meeting electronically via Zoom, and that's the purpose of this meeting. Tonight's meeting is actually for deliberation only. We are not going to be taking any testimony, and we will not be having any public comment because we are deliberating the appropriateness of an application to our board and whether or not we will hear it. And that's the purpose of that. We have a guest tonight, which is Wayne Wilson, who will answer some questions for us. He is building inspector for the town of Nahant. We also have town council president, Dan Swift, who is on the Zoom as well. So today, again, September 15, 2020, we're waiting for one other member to appear, and that's Max Casper. He has a computer issue. He told me he is working on it, and he'll try and log in a few minutes.
You can always just call in too, Jocelyn. He doesn't have to be here. It might be much simpler, quicker.
I just told him that, so the I'm sure he's reviewed your the email that I sent him earlier today. Let me see. We have two people who are on here that are not Max. Neither one is Max. They're two citizen participants.
Hey, Jocelyn, what's it like in Boston nowadays? Like downtown? Is it busy? Is it not busy? What's going on?
It's actually been pretty busy, I think, considering. Yeah. At times it seems really ghost-like and quiet, especially as the day goes on. It's still nowhere near where it used to be.
I went down to Providence, Rhode Island yesterday. I zoomed right through. There was almost no traffic at about 10:30. I was kind of surprised.
I've been getting to work in about 20 minutes.
I will say the one thing when I go into town, the one thing I do notice is everybody, wherever you're walking, I would say 99% of the people are wearing masks, even out on the sidewalks. And, people are out walking or walking their dog. Everybody has a mask on.
Even the bank robbers?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you would know, right, Peter?
Yeah.
I wish they gave you just one number for calling in, but they gave you Chicago, New York. So weird. I don't know which number to give him.
Any of them will work. Yeah. They do that many because there could be people calling in from all over the country.
Right. So I'll give New York 1646. Oh, here he is again.
Oh, there's Max.
There he is.
Hey.
Hello. Max, can you hear us okay?
Max?
Max.
Oh, so close.
You're so close, Max.
He's smiling.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, I had to switch computers. My computer all of a sudden did an update. And
Nice.
Gotta love that time.
Okay, so you missed the introduction, Max. But, I went through the governor's order, and you know why we're here. We're here tonight to discuss the appropriateness of an application that we received from Mr. Paul Smith, and as counsel for Mr. Paul Smith and for Judith Flaherty. And I wanted to know from everyone, just kind of put the issues forth there. There are really two issues that we're talking about here. This is a deliberation on that only. We are not seeking to have testimony or anything like that. The two issues, as I put forth in one of my notes, is that the first being the appeal of the zoning enforcement denial dated July 2nd, 2020. Is that right? Let me see here.
I mean, the RFE,
The first one was that appeal of the zoning enforcement denial dated July 2nd, 2020. And the second was the appeal of the building inspector allowing the building permit R-18-000243 to be amended and the issuance and validity of the amended permit. So if we could talk about the first issue first, which challenges the work Rizzo completed between July 9th, 2019 and July 1st, 2020. And whether anybody would like to discuss the work, whether it was beyond the bounds of the permits. Everyone remember the deal when we went over this in the hearing?
Yes. So one of the things that I recall is, and I want to say it was the October meeting where we asked them to stop working and basically decide whether he was going to complete the project as he originally permitted for, or bring it up to FEMA compliance. And at that point, it was my understanding that he had not exceeded the 50% rule, but was going to by needing to put in heat or air conditioning. And that's what kind of forced him to amend his permit. So as I recall, in October of 2019, he had not exceeded 50%, but with new work that he was adding would eventually or would exceed that 50%. Am I remembering it correctly?
You are, and that's one of the reasons why we asked Mr. Wilson to attend today, was because we wanted to verify two facts. One, and Mr. Wilson, if you can hear me, one is
Yes, I can hear everyone.
that no work was done, to the best of your knowledge, at 96 Willow Road between October 30th, 2019 and July 1st, 2020.
Let's put it this way. I did not witness any work being done in that time frame. After that meeting in which he admitted that he was going to exceed the 50%, all work had stopped at that point.
Okay. And the
And then
second
into the process of amending his plans.
All right, and so as the second point is that the modified permit that you issued in July 2020 encompasses all of the work that was done since the project began.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It wasn't a new permit, it was an amended permit. So we added the additional work that would bring him into compliance to his original permit and issued an amended permit.
Okay. Where we had previously found that as of July 9th, 2019, the work was not in excess of the permit that had been issued at the time. It seems to me that this request for relief would really just be encompassing everything prior to July 19th, 2019. Dan Script, you say that that's, you understand that to be the case as well?
yeah, I'm sorry, repeat that 1 second, Jocelyn. Repeat that one more time, please.
We actually had a hearing at one point in time, and we ruled that as of July 9th, 2019, the work that was completed was not in excess of the permit. We had a later hearing where we found he was in violation of the 50% rule. But as of July 9th, 2019, we had determined he was not the work was not in excess of the permit. So,
Right.
and by
Right.
confirming with Mr. Wilson that as far as he knows, no work was done at 96 Willow Road between October 2019 and July 1, 2020, it seems to me that this first claim, the appeal of the zoning enforcement denial dated July 2nd, 2020, is really a repetitive application because we're referring to that period of time.
Well, what Paul is trying to do is he's trying to sculpt out the time period between July 9th, 2019 and October. Well, he's actually trying to say July 9th, 2019 to July 1st, 2020. But as Wayne just attested, after October 30th, 2019, there was no work done. So there's nothing to complain about. So what the real time limit is, the time frame is between July 9th, 2019 and October 30th, 2019, that 2.5 months, whatever it is. And the ZBA's finding and decision was that as of July 9th, 2019, the work wasn't exceeded. But the fact remains is that if you look at the second half of Mr. Smith's claim, he's contesting the amended or modified permit, which Wayne just said encompasses all the work. So it's repetitive in that he's making the claim twice in this appeal, but it's also redundant in that he's challenging a permit that's already now defunct. And I can tell you from the litigation side, his attorney has already withdrawn one of his lawsuits, one of the 3 lawsuits, because of the permit being now defunct. So it's at the very least, it's moot. At the very most, the claim regarding any work after July 9th up to July 1st, 2020 is irrelevant because it's already being contested in another venue.
Okay, so
But to my earlier comment, yes, I know as of July 9th, 2019, that he had not exceeded the 50%. His plans and his permits would not exceed the 50%.
Don't mix apples and oranges. We're not talking about 50%, Peter. We're talking about exceeding the permit, not 50%. That's a whole other issue.
Oh, okay. All right. Exceeding the permit. And then
Yeah.
as far as the October 30th meeting, again, I believe at that point, the work that had been done did not exceed the 50%. At least that's how I understood it when we met, was that he was at a point where he was going to cross over the 50% line. And we said, you either stop and finish what you have done on this permit, or you apply for an amended permit so that you can meet compliance. Is that how everyone else understands it? Or I'm just trying to also set the tone that October 30th, supposedly we asked him to stop working so that he can decide whether he's going to move forward with a FEMA compliance plan or finish the work that he started. And obviously he chose the prior to go ahead with bringing it into FEMA compliance. I just want to make sure I remember it. I'm remembering it correctly.
I think it's very close memory, Peter. My memory.
Okay.
I'm looking at
All
the
right.
minutes. I'm looking at the minutes, and it doesn't say that in the minutes. I'm not saying it wasn't discussed, but it didn't say that in the minutes, and it was not a finding in the ultimate decision, which I think
Okay.
is really the measuring stick here.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's very, very likely that's what happened. But for the purpose of the appeal, we've got to go, I think, by the decision that was rendered, and that specifically says July 9th, 2019, because that was the basis of the appeal. But Peter, but to get to your point, and I'm glad you brought up the 50% rule, because that's sort of an issue here too, because in the appeal before you at the moment, Mr. Smith does make reference to 50% rule and how, quote unquote, had the ZBA determined that the project was in violation of the 50% rule, the permit would have been rescinded as a matter of law. That's what he says in his current appeal. So I take that to say that he's also appealing the 50% ruling, which is a bit unclear because you did find that Rizzo violated the 50% rule. So I'm not quite sure where Paul is going for that argument. What he might be focusing in on is that the motion to rescind that permit failed. So I think that's where he's going. So I'm including an appeal of that decision as well in this current appeal. So the appeal really is two.
Dan.
What's that?
He has not made that claim.
Which claim is that?
To we failed to rescind.
Well, if you look at the first page of his second page of his letter, in the bottom paragraph, pardon me.
I know he talks about it because he talks about a lot of things, but he the two issues that came out of that filing are appeal of the enforcement of zoning denial dated July 2nd, 2020, and then the other being appeal of building inspector allowing building permit.
Oh, I know this, but within that number one portion there, if you look at the letter that he wrote or he sent along with the application for relief, the second page of the letter, the bottom paragraph, he talks about the ZBA's failure to find a violation of the 50% rule.
Because we didn't. That's what I was just saying. As of October 30th, Rizzo had not violated the 50% rule. However, he had brought in estimates and other information that would have, Rizzo was trying to get us to use a different way to figure out the value of the structure on his property. Remember, he was trying to get us to up the dollar amount value of his property so that he could kind of skate by the 50%, and we didn't allow that to happen. But at that point, he had not violated the 50% rule.
Yes,
That's why. What's
that
that?
was what our decision was, that his permit violated the 50% rule.
Yes, that's true. Because after
But his permit didn't violate 50% rule.
That's what we
The work-
decided.
That's what we voted on. We did.
it did, Peter, you're looking at the October 30th hearing. Fine, good point. But remember, in the hearing after that, Mr. Rizzo produced a document from his own people that said he was $146,100, whatever it was, which provided evidence. Project cost $146,100. Wasn't that showed that at that point it was in excess of the FEMA rule. If you look at paragraph 17 of the amended decision, that might help a little bit. I'll just read it to you. It says the project cost of $146,100 as presented by the homeowner were in excess of the FEMA 50% rule.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that, Peter, you're absolutely right. You're right on the money as of October 30th. But after that, we got more evidence. So that was considered as well.
Okay. All right.
So,
All right.
but in the current appeal, it seems Paul Smith is taking issue with that, saying, well, it should have been rescinded. So all I'm saying is that in this appeal, yes, as Jocelyn points out, he's complaining that the work was done in excess of the permit. But I think so that the undercurrent is he's also claiming that the permit should have been revoked based on the 50% rule violation. So I consider that part of this appeal as well.
And essentially, it should have been repealed, correct? Or do you? Well, it gets. I mean, he's saying by course of law that it would be if he breaks the 50% rule, it essentially terminates the building permit. But do you not allow somebody to amend their permit so that they can meet compliance?
They can absolutely amend. They can modify, amend.
Which is what he did.
Which is exactly
so what he did is what he did is there's nothing wrong with what he did.
Well, that's what Paul is challenging in the second part of this current appeal, and that can go forward without an issue, or the hearing can go forward without an issue.
It looks like we have two matters here. In the first one, we need to have some kind of a vote on, or someone needs to bring a motion. I guess I could bring a motion. Usually I don't bring motions, but I could. The motion that I would bring is to find that the first enumerated claim, the appeal of zoning enforcement denial dated July 2nd, 2020, in Mr. Smith's request for relief dated August 6, 2020, constitutes a repetitive petition and is to be transferred to the planning board for hearing on that issue.
Can you clarify why it would be transferred to the planning board?
Because in order to hear, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jocelyn.
Well, I say actually under Chapter 48, Section 16, which is one of the things that I emailed to everyone, if there's an issue that's repetitive, in other words, we've already heard it, then it has to go to the planning board to decide whether or not it's going to be heard. Dan, do you want to add to that?
No, if you look at the statute is the enabling statute. The bylaw that also applies is 9.10 D as in Delta, repetitive petitions. And it says that if the ZBA believes that there's a repetitive petition, then it needs to take that vote and then it goes to the planning board for a hearing on that same issue. This has happened before with regard to, I forgot what the first issue was, but this is not the first time we've done this.
And not only that, but we actually, when it's a repetitive appeal, we don't have jurisdiction to hear it. So we have no choice. So that's what we're trying to sort out here. So does anybody want to second my motion?
Yes. I will second the motion.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion? Do you want to talk about it?
I gotta
I
be
mean-
totally honest. I don't totally understand why it's a repetitive petition. Sorry.
Okay.
What question do you have, Max?
So sorry, I'm working on one screen now. So the appeal that we're dealing with right now is the first one, right? Which is,
Well, there's one appeal. We split it in two because that's how
Right.
it's enumerated.
so appeal of zoning enforcement denial dated 7/23, right? That's what we're trying to dispose of right now.
Right.
And I'm not contesting this. I'm just kind of working through it a little bit here. The appeal of 7/23 was what exactly? Denial of enforcement. So Wayne denied enforcement of a letter submitted by Paul on July 3rd, right?
Right. In that letter, Paul claimed that between July 9th, 2019 and July 1st, 2020,
Yep.
there was a violation in that Mr. Rizzo exceeded the building permit. And what Wayne just clarified was that between October 3rd in 2019, I'm sorry, October 3rd, 2019 and July 1st, 2020, there was no work done. So the real relevant time period is only July 9th, 2019 to October 30th, 2019. Okay. And that is already being challenged, not only in Essex Superior Court by an active lawsuit, but it's also being challenged by the second half of the current appeal. So if it's not repetitive, it's moot. So pick your term. It's one or the other. The repetitiveness of this claim more so applies to the 50% basis of this argument because the board has already decided that a rescission of the permit is inappropriate, and it seems as though that Paul is appealing that as well. So the 50% rule is the 50% ruling is repetitive because we've done it already, and we voted negatively on that already.
Yep.
And the exceeding the building permit, it's more moot than anything else because number one, it's being challenged in the second half of this current appeal. Number two, it's already part of the active litigation in Essex Superior Court. And I'll put on the record that in that complaint on paragraph 93, Paul Smith says, quote, on the second issue, the board determined that Rizzo's work on the property did not exceed the $55,000 total project cost in the building permit, even though it accepted Rizzo's own accounting of some $146,100 in project costs and paid no attention to the detailed estimate of $330,000 provided by Jay Lawrence. Now, in paragraph 110, yes, 110 paragraph, Mr. Smith says the board erred by artificially limiting its assessment of compliance with the building permit to a date, July 9th, 2019, more than 5 months before it rendered its decision. So these issues are already in play. They're already being litigated. So if it's not repetitive, it's moot. Either case, it doesn't belong before the ZBA.
Well, wait a minute. If this is in court, then what would the planning board have to do? I mean, don't you just let this play out in court?
Well, it's before us now. It's laid before your feet, so we have to deal with it one way or the other. And pursuant to our bylaws, it's got to go to the planning board for sort of a consent is how the bylaw is worded. So it's got to go to them more so for the repetitive petition aspect of it than the mootness aspect of it. But I'm happy to go to the planning board for both issues.
I mean, and I assume that we would be invited to their hearing as well.
Absolutely. All interested parties are invited to any of those hearings.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to move on. Not for any other reason other than I have something else I have to do after this. Just want to make
So
sure.
we need a vote, Jocelyn, and we need
is there any more discussion on the motion?
I can just point out that we need all 4 current members for this motion to pass, because we only have 4, not 5.
Okay. So, all right, so let's take a vote. Anyone want to take a vote? All in favor? Please state your roll call.
Peter Barber, aye.
David Walsh, aye.
Max Casper, aye.
David McCool. David McCool, aye.
Jocelyn Campbell, aye. Did we get all of them? We got all 5.
Oh, sorry, McCall. I didn't realize you got on the line here.
So
Great.
that first motion has passed, and we will be referring that matter to the planning board.
And I will alert them right after this meeting is over.
Okay. So the second issue is the appeal of the building inspectors allowing building permit R18-00243 to be amended, and the issuance and the validity of the amended permit. This is a matter that we can hear. So all we really need to do on this one is schedule a date for the hearing.
Is there a timeline for that date?
I think we should hear it in the next week, if possible. How is everyone for next week? One night, and we're actually going to need 2 weeks, Dan, because we're going to have to give notice. We have to have
Yeah,
it.
I need notice.
I think the end date is my schedule here. I sent everyone the list. The outside date for request for enforcement, I believe, is October 10th. We want to get it heard before then. If we file on today's the 15th, if we get notice in the newspaper, we need to give 2 weeks. We're looking at October 5th or 6th.
And my guess, this will take 2 days, given the history here.
We're only going to allow one. We'll give the applicant as long as they need. But I would suggest that we plan for, you want to plan for 2 nights so we can get it over with?
I think that would be wise. And if it's not needed for the second night, well, then great. We can just move on.
That way we don't have to notice it and all that.
Yep.
So,
Over 56.
Hold on.
Dan, would you be attending that meeting?
Absolutely.
Well, just because you had alluded to section 906 appeals.
Yes.
And just, I would want clarification on that.
Well, I can give that to you now.
Okay.
The typical, and in my mind, more efficient way of doing this, when I say this, what I mean is when someone challenges the building inspector's issuance of a permit, okay, an aggrieved party, actually it doesn't have to be aggrieved, any party really, can file a request for enforcement with the building inspector. Say, hey, you violated the zoning ordinance or bylaws in this way, and I want you basically to enforce the zoning bylaws on yourself. That sort of adds a layer of review and analysis. But the person can also appeal right to the ZBA, because as the section reads, any person aggrieved by an order or decision of the building inspector can go to the Board of Appeals. Now, case law has said that an issuance of a building permit is an order or decision, in quotes. So that is something that can be appealed right to the ZBA if that person so chooses.
Okay.
I'd rather go RFE, or request for enforcement first, but it's not really our call at the end of the day.
Okay, how is October 5th, which is a Monday, and October 6th, which is a Tuesday?
I might have
Okay
a problem
with
on
me.
this.
Why do you think this is going to take 2 days? I mean,
Look at the history, Dave. Look at
well,
the
I know,
history.
but I'd like to change history.
Yeah,
Well, I'll
I
tell you
do
what.
too.
I do too. Now, let's just make it
Well,
one.
okay,
Let's just
you,
pick one
if,
day and call it as a day.
I can do the 6th. The 5th is trouble for me. The 6th I can commit to, though.
Yeah, the 6th is trouble for me. I got a conflict, direct conflict. Well, yeah, direct time conflict.
We can do it earlier in the evening, like this, if you want at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, my problem is I have a 7 o'clock on the 6th.
How about,
Did we do the week before, the 29th? Or is that cutting it too short?
if we get the ad in tomorrow, well, it takes like 24 hours to get the ad in, right? So
We could do
the
30.
30th.
Wednesday or Thursday, but then you run into the Board of Selectmen's meetings.
See, that doesn't bother me because we're using, I'm using my account for this tonight because I don't want to have a problem like we did that time. I just think it's going to be too soon, David, I hate to say, because we may not even be able to get the ad in tomorrow. We can try.
How about Thursday the 8th?
How about, yeah, the 7th and the 8th?
Well, just the 8th. Mondays and Wednesdays, I can't do right now.
Thursday,
okay.
yeah. I think I have a problem Thursday the 8th, but I can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well,
Okay.
Hold on, I might be able to do Wednesday. I just need to check something here. Well, I can make Monday the 5th work. It's not good, but I can skip something else.
is earlier or later better?
Earlier is better.
Okay.
What if we try to do 5 p.m. on Monday the 5th?
That's
How's
good.
that work for everybody?
Yep, fine by me.
That
Fine
work?
by me.
5 o'clock on the 5th.
Yep.
Okay, and hopefully it won't turn into 2 nights.
Not if I can
Hopefully.
help it.
Just
Okay.
don't miss the call.
We'll be quick and efficient. All right. Does anybody want to bring a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I moved that we have select a hearing date of the 5th of October at 5 p.m.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
David Walsh, aye.
Peter Barber, aye.
Max Casper, aye.
McCool, aye.
Jocelyn Campbell, aye. All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks
Hey,
all.
guys.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Thanks, Wayne.
yep,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, David.